You know what's interesting? I think listening to you talk and listening to how passionate you are about everything that you're sharing and the things that you felt were so important and of such high value. What got you there? So we started off with you saying, "Oh, I was running for vice president, and then poof, I'm president." What got you to the vice presidency? Outside
Well,
of Excella saying you have to get your PMP, what got you into project management?
well, before that, I was with the Association for Systems Management. It's a now defunct organization.
Okay.
Was an association of systems people. It smelled like PMI. We had our own yearly conferences. We had multiple but the ASM chapters were Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse.
Okay.
So we would combine all three chapters and have one big um, monthly meeting, yearly meeting here in Rochester, along with Chet. So I kind of got involved in that. I was president of that for
Okay.
3 or 4 years. So I got involved in this whole thing. I was an IT director most of my life.
Okay.
So even, so I had experience with vendors and I had experience with a number of corporations. I was in manufacturing most of my life, except for the end and Excellus. But pretty much my passion became, um, this is my job. If I'm not passionate about my job, then what the hell am I passionate about?
Right.
So
Right.
I realized that if project managers exist, there had to be a lot more people like me out there to keep this thing going.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen what happened to ASM. It died because the passion wasn't there. It was just a few of us that was making it go. Plus the national wasn't. The national became too political, and that's what worries me huge about PMI right now is it's turning into politics and not what it really is, which is it's a chapter of people who are passionate about the subject.
Okay.
And that's what I am. I guess I'm passionate about the subject.
How'd you go from
So
IT director into passionate about project management?
I guess I was always IT director, except for Excellus, I was senior project manager at Excellus.
Okay.
But still there, I was running major projects. I mean, even when I was working for ITT Automotive, and then I worked for Vallejo Corporation, I was IT guy. We were doing huge projects. One project I had was a $3 million project,
Mm-hmm.
which was to put RF equipment on forklift trucks. I had 83 forklift trucks to run around building a 1 million square foot building, loading up trucks out there with
Okay.
goods. So everything's a project.
Yes.
And what I found was that many of the leaders didn't even understand it. I mean, you know, you're running a project here, man. Behave like it's a project. But
Mm-hmm.
they didn't, and that's what I thought. Through working through PMI, I could educate them to what this was all about, rather than just being. It's not about the certification. It's not about Scrum. It's not about any of that. That's all nice, but it's about the leadership of how to use those tools to
Mm-hmm.
to solve a problem. God, I wish the hell they would do this in Washington right now because we got one hell of a problem there, and we got, pardon me, we got an idiot there who doesn't understand any of what I'm talking about. So, pardon me, I digress.
I would suggest he's a high D on the disc.
Yes.
With nothing else. But yes, we digress. We digress.
Yes.
I wrote that down. Leadership in how to use the tools to solve a problem.
Yep. And I
that's
also
how.
I involved myself with MPUG. You familiar with MPUG?
Mm-mm.
The Microsoft Users Group.
Oh, yes,
Microsoft
yes, yes,
Project.
yes, yes, yes.
Microsoft Users Project Group.
Mm-hmm.
So I got ourselves involved in them, and we had a nice relationship. Most of the people belong at that PMI.
Okay.
Started started the PMI Education Fund initiative. We were one of the first people to put money into the PMI Education Fund.
Okay. Now, PMI at one point was doing the PMP training, correct?
No, PMI never did training.
Okay.
Yep, PMI, pretty much you went to Gary or you went to me.
Okay.
Not me. I wasn't doing it. I wasn't with Project Solvers then. But Gary did quite a bit. There was people doing online stuff, people driving or flying to Philadelphia, Dallas,
Yes, for those conferences. Yes.
New York, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
That was another thing I did. When I would go to are you familiar with the LIMS are? Okay. Once a year, the National has a leadership conference.
Mm-hmm.
And the leadership of all the chapters meet in a location. And it's either in the West Coast, East Coast, Chicago, wherever, And they discuss how to make the chapters better.
Okay.
So when I would go there, I'd make it my business to meet everybody in what I would now call Region 4. Region 4 was Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, New York, Pennsylvania, Binghamton, you name it. I'd made it my business to meet these people and to form relationships. So if I needed a speaker, I can get one. If they
Yes.
needed a speaker, they can have one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd find out what their best practices were. I'd find out how they were getting members, and I got out of being our own little environment into the PMI environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was one of the thing. That's how we got the Region 4 conference. We had never had the Region 4 conference in Rochester. The
Okay.
Region 4 conference brought all these people. What I did was I had, what you're familiar with Woodcliff?
Yes.
I had contracted with Woodcliff to hold the Region 4 conference only if they would give me a deal on having my chapter meetings there.
And did they?
Oh, yeah. And they made me such a deal I couldn't refuse. I sound like Trump here. It made me a deal I could refuse to do. We did one PDD there.
Okay. Wow.
And it worked out real well. Everything worked out well with them. But the Region 4 conference was such a success that everybody took what we had written down, which I'll send you,
Okay.
and they emulated it. I even think today it emulates the Region 4 conference that we held in 2010. And that was a chapter thing. Everybody got involved.
Okay.
Everybody, we got there, we had our T-shirts,
So it was a
everybody was
team
involved.
building activity as well.
Oh, it was
Organizing
huge.
this event, pulling it all together. You just had a great.
Everybody got involved. It
That's
wasn't just,
fantastic.
and I think that was always my goal. My other goal was that we knew there was a group of people in Ithaca, Binghamton area,
Okay.
in Ithaca that weren't being served.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to come to Rochester, excuse me, but it's a long ride. It's almost
Yep.
2 hours. And no one, and Binghamton wasn't very strong. They didn't have the cash.
Okay.
So I went down there. I met a couple people who were very enthusiastic at Cornell University, and I met with the Cornell University people, and I formed a chapter.
Huh.
So that's how the Ithaca chapter formed.
Okay.
So the Ithaca chapter got formed through me and a couple other people. That we would go down there and hold meetings. I then had the bylaws changed. I had to go to the PMI and get them to be I forgot what it's called now, a sub-chapter, if you will,
Okay.
of the Rochester chapter.
Okay.
And we had to go through a voting process. There's a whole took a year. Yeah, it took a year to get that done. So and then
Wow.
and then they became a part of the Rochester chapter. We funded them. They were able to hold their own meetings. Now they do their own PDDs.
Okay.
They're a living, breathing organization.
Are they
But
still a
again, that
subchapter of us?
yeah,
Okay.
Rochester. Yeah,
And have we engaged other universities that are in that area?
no,
Oh,
could have, should have.
still
I
can?
left.
Okay. Give me one moment. I dropped my pen actually, so give me one
Go ahead.
second.